Hi, I'm Joseph Khateri, realtor in the state of Virginia, and today I'm going to tell all of you about the BRRRR strategy. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And this strategy can help you build wealth through real estate in one of the fastest ways possible. So to kick things off, we have the first step, which is buying, of course. Now, the key component here is buying a property under market value. That's really what's gonna make or break your calculations and how much money you make throughout this. You want to look for fixer-uppers. Look at distressed properties, look at off-market properties, drive by your neighborhood and just keep an eye out. Look at foreclosures as well. Look for these types of properties that you can transform into gems. Because by scoring a deal up front, you're already setting yourself up to build a bundle of equity inside of the property, which means more money. Do your homework on stuff like the rental appreciation, the neighborhood itself, the market demand, and of course, don't forget to network. That's a huge component in this that people tend to forget for some reason. I know this personally because when I was going into the office like almost every single day, I would have coworkers come up to me and say, hey, I know you have an investor. I have a seller that really wants to get rid of their property. What do you think? And it never hit market, nothing ever happened. And these properties ended up being great investments for these buyers, sellers, whoever we may have had, just because we were there at the right time in the right place to hear the offer. Now the second step is rehab, time to roll up those sleeves. The biggest thing is to tackle repairs and improvements in order to gain equity inside of the house and make it more valuable. You want to focus on high impact areas. What are high impact areas? Bathroom, kitchen, the flooring even. Now you might think,
oh, but it's the bedroom. That's where they spend the most amount of time. It's the living room.
No, because most of the time they want it to be empty. They want it to be bare bones to make it their own. The bathroom is different. The kitchen is different. And also don't look over replacing everything with the energy saver versions of stuff. Get water saving toilets, water saving shower heads, energy efficient light bulbs, the works. Because it might not affect you now, but a year from now, that investment will pay itself over. 10 years from now, it'll pay itself so much over that you're gonna thank yourself that you watched this video. And you're also gonna wanna budget wisely for rehab. I've noticed that people typically spend around 20% higher than what their budget is on rehab costs. If you're a professional, maybe you can do it under budget. Typically it's under 10% in all honesty for professionals, but for the average person, probably 20%. And you also wanna find reliable contractors who can get your shit done on time. And the biggest reason is because this is a rental. Time is money. A rental property that rents for $2,400 is gonna be like 70 to 80 bucks a day. And now that your property is looking fabulous, it's time for step 3, which is rent out the property. Finding important tenants is probably the most important step in all of this. And by all of this, I mean specifically the renting part. I always value a good tenant over raising the rent. You want to screen tenants, you want to check their history, you want to check their criminal background, their eviction history. You want to make sure there's no red flags on credit, do the works, get pay stubs. And I actually made an entire video on this. I believe it was actually my last video or the one before that on how to screen the perfect tenants. And after you find the perfect tenants, make sure you get a rock solid lease in order. I typically recommend reaching out to an actual agent such as myself for this entire renting process because they always are gonna have the best lease. But there are options online such as, Zillow that might provide one. And if you don't want to manage the property yourself, you sure as hell better get really good property management in there. Because a property management company that actually cares about the tenants as much as you do, the tenants are gonna know. They're gonna know that they're treated well and they're gonna stay for longer. They're gonna treat the house like their own. And it's gonna minimize vacancies as well as keep your cash flow at its maximum. All right, with your property fully rented out, it is now time to refinance. Now, the goal with a refinance is to, first off, get out the money that you originally put in. Maybe you used a hard money lender and you gotta pay them back. And the second thing is, remember when you did all those upgrades, you built equity into it. So now you can tap into that equity and pull it out and use it for your future deals. And that's the key to all of this. Let's say you bought a property for 100 grand. You put 50 grand worth of improvements into it. So now you are into this 150,000 of that hard money lender cash, which is probably like 12% interest. Well, you get the bank involved, all right? You get a tenant, it's renting out really well. They value the property at 250,000. Guess what? You have a 250K property that's fully paid off that you only put 150K into. So you do a cash out refinance. You keep 20% of the equity inside of the home, pull out the rest of it, pay off the lender and keep the difference. And now the final step of it all, I'm sure you could guess it, but it's repeat. You now have a bundle of cash to use for your next deals. All you have to do is just start from step 1 again. Just go find a property to buy. And now you could even go in a higher price range. You could go 2 properties at once now since you have a little bit of money. You could borrow less money from the lender and use some of your own cash so you don't have to pay that 12% interest. There's a lot you can do here. And here's the kicker. Let's say 3 years from now, interest rates go back down to 3%. Well, guess what? Just refi all of them all over again. Yes, it will cost you money, but in return, your monthly payment is going to decrease even more and your yearly cash flow is going to skyrocket. And if you are considering doing the BRRRR strategy or really just are interested in real estate as a whole, feel free to DM me on literally anything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, even LinkedIn, honestly. I personally work in Virginia, but I have friends all over the world that I could refer you to. Oh, and while you're down there, go subscribe to my channel. All right, and now I'm gonna go through tips on how to have a successful BRRRR strategy. I cannot emphasize this enough. Build a strong team. You want a lender that's reliable, that's not gonna screw you over just to make a pretty penny. You want a builder that knows what they're doing. You want the best painters, the best floorers, the best roofers that actually understand what you're trying to do with this strategy and aren't going to screw you over on time to build or price. And of course, make sure their quality is top notch. And aside from the actual builders, there's still other people you need. You need lawyers involved. You need realtors such as myself. You need good property management. Building strong relationships with these types of people will help you make better business decisions. After all, you don't go to your dentist for advice about fine art. No, you go to the proper people for what their career is and what they can specifically help you with. And the second thing is knowing your market. There are countless places that are deteriorating in population, in quality. The price of goods in that area is high, material costs. So it's good to know exactly what the current conditions of the market are for a BRRRR strategy. For example, here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, our population is skyrocketing. We've had insane growth in the past few years, so it would be a great location to do this BRRRR strategy. My hometown in Pennsylvania, on the other hand, has been dwindling about 5 to 10% in population every single year. The next thing is mastering the art of negotiation. And the biggest tip I actually have for this is to read the book, Never Split the Difference. I read this maybe last year, I think. It was a fantastic book that basically detailed that money sometimes isn't everything. You need to know exactly what they specifically want and go off of your negotiations from that. For example, what if they really want a fast closing? They might accept a lower price. And practice your skills in real life situations. That's a huge part of this. Negotiate with every single person you encounter. Of course, it'll probably fail most of the time. For example, if you're doing professional contractors, they're probably just gonna laugh in your face. But if you're making offers on a property, for example, then it's gonna come in very, very handy and it's gonna save you a lot of money. You also want to have a detailed rehab plan. I know that for beginners, this might be a little bit difficult. So maybe hiring a builder is really where you might accomplish this task a lot better. But before starting any rehab project, you want to have a plan in order. You don't want to be the guy with no time frames or dates involved that just kind of wings it. You don't want to be that guy because it's going to cost you money, trust me. Now, yes, your plans are probably going to go out the window. They probably will have to derail, but that's perfectly normal and you need to adjust to that. And you also have to have a contingency budget for any unexpected scenarios. For example, a property that one of my clients bought, a random pipe in the wall broke. It wasn't from water damage, it wasn't from pipes freezing, it just broke randomly and costed $22,000 worth of repairs. Thankfully, they budgeted for that and insurance covered almost all of it. The next piece of advice is to monitor your performance so far. Let's say every week, every 2 weeks, you want to sit down, track all your expenses, track how long your time frames are, and just update your plan accordingly. I might have mentioned this a little bit before, but every single day that property is not rented is X amount of money gone out the window. For example, for a property that rents for $2,400, I mentioned this already, but it's $70 to $80 every single day wasted. Now, the last tip that I have for you is to simply maintain your own finances well. You want to make sure that your credit score is up to date, it's in good condition. You want to make sure that your debt isn't crazy high, for example, medical debt or something like that, or a car loan. You want to make sure you have sufficient cash reserves just in case anything goes wrong. And I know that's kind of hard to do if you're all new to this and you don't have that much of a little piggy bank saved up. But you should make sure your debt to income ratios are good. Make sure that your personal finances are in order. You don't have any crazy bills coming up, anything like that. And make sure just to have a plan in order for any unexpected expense. The HVAC suddenly goes wrong, that's 10 grand out of your pocket. What are you gonna do about it? And that's it. The BRRRR strategy is one of the most effective and tried and true methods in order to build wealth with real estate. It may take some effort, planning, and honestly a decent amount of risk to get started, but it is well worth it in the long run if you know what you're doing, and hopefully now you do. As always, I made this channel to make educational and entertaining finance content, so hit the bell and subscribe down below if you want more of this. And don't forget to DM me if you need a realtor or even just need some advice. You can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn. All right, have a nice day.